Danny, it's great to see you. I don't know if you've been listening to a little bit of our conversation this morning. I want to talk to you about tips as well, but so curious about where you think we really are in the economy, what kind of inflation feelings you're having when it comes to the consumer, when it comes to the hiring and the like.
The cost of goods sold is definitely coming down. The cost of labor is remaining steadily high. And interestingly, from our standpoint, Andrew, inflation has done what the politicians could never do, and it brought people back to the labor force. As you well know, during COVID, our entire industry was on its knees. Nobody could work at the beginning, and then nobody wanted to work after that in the industry. And at this point, most of us have not only hired back well over 100% of those who couldn't work, but we're like a vacuum cleaner gobbling up any human being who will come to our industry, and we need workers badly.
But so why do you think there's still such a shortage of employees, and that clearly is still putting pressure? It sounds like on the wage side of things.
It is, and that's what I meant when I said earlier that the wages have gone up. That has brought back a lot more people into the industry, especially tipped employees, as I know you want to talk about.
Right.
Because tipped employees are making a percentage of menu prices, which have only gone up, which means that their wages have appreciably gone up over the last year and a half or so.
What is the average price that you're paying on an hourly basis these days at? I don't know, we could do the big restaurants, or we could also do a Shake Shack.
Well, if you're talking about full service restaurants with tipping, you're basically talking about minimum wage, which in New York State is approaching the exact same amount as. So I think most of your viewers know that there's an adjusted lower minimum wage for tipped employees, which is a shame. It should actually be the exact same thing. But in New York, it's approaching the same thing. So by the time you add the hourly rate plus tips, I would say that most tipped employees in a full service fine dining restaurant are approaching somewhere between $35 to $50 an hour.
$30 to $50 an hour. Okay. Now, when it comes to a Shake Shack, what does that look like?
Well, Shake Shack all depends on each state being different. Shake Shack is roughly half the states in the United States. And they range from very, very low amounts to much higher amounts, depending on where the state is.
And at a Shake Shack, for example, we were talking about the toast devices that are now, point of sale in so many locations, where oftentimes it's offered, 10 or even starts sometimes at 15% or 20%, 25%, 30% on the tip. Has that changed things? And do you do that at Shake Shack?
Well, as you well know, technology has replaced the tin cup that you would see at so many different restaurants and coffee bars, et cetera, around the country. And I don't think I've ever seen anything as high as 30%, not even the kind of restaurants that I like to go to in New York City. But Shake Shack instituted a tipping opportunity for guests probably about a year and a half ago or so. And many guests opt in and many guests don't. And it's completely up as it is in any restaurant.
What are your percentages, the sort of suggested percentages?
I don't know, Andrew.
Right. By the way, what do you think a fair tip is in this day and age? I feel like I'm tipping for the most part 20%. At a fine dining restaurant, I'm tipping about 20% these days.
I think in a fine dining restaurant, most people tip 20%. I don't think most people change their tip based on whether the chicken took too long to get out of the kitchen. I think most people realize that the server is relying on tips because of the adjusted lower minimum wage, and that the time of the meal has as much to do, if not more, with the kitchen than it has to do with the server. I think people appreciate warm hospitality. They appreciate a sense that you're on their side. And they like to reward that. They don't like to be forced.
What's a proper tip if you go in and get a cup of coffee or food that you take out?
It could be nothing, Becky. It could be, if you're just taking out food and it was just a transaction, I give you money, you give me a cup of coffee, I don't think there's any obligation to tip whatsoever.
What do you think about, we're talking about sort of is it a moral issue? I feel oftentimes I end up tipping in a lot of cases because I feel that the people are being underpaid, or as you're describing, it's part of the the transaction. But then I mean, and look, we can argue that even $50 an hour is still too little. I'm sure some people might argue that. Some people say $50 is a lot of money per hour.
Let's be very clear, by the way, when I said it could get as high as $50 an hour, I'm talking about full service fine dining restaurants. I think when you get to the fast casual restaurants around the country, it doesn't come close to approaching that. I just want to be clear about that.
Right. You did something very unique where at one point with some of your restaurants, you were not going to have tipping at all. It was going to be built into the price. And then you backed away from that. What happened?
Well, we did it for 5 years, and what happened was COVID. It was going pretty well, although I will say the math was incredibly difficult. Not many restaurants around the country joined in. And so what it meant was that the price on our menu included everything. It didn't just include the cost of the food and the beverage and the linens and the flowers and the rent and the insurance and the cooks. It also now included paying for all of the people who bring the food to you, the bartenders, the waiters, the busboys, et cetera. And furthermore, we were a little bit ambitious because we also included a retirement plan. We included full family leave opportunities for both so we got a little bit, I would say, ambitious about what we wanted to do. And by the time we did this, the prices we could charge on our menus was not enough to cover all the things we wanted to do while remaining competitive. So when COVID came and people could not work in this industry and didn't necessarily want to work in this industry, we found that it was almost inhumane to tell our servers, you must tell the guest who wants to tip you, because people did want to tip a lot at the beginning when we could finally come back to eat. It was inhumane to tell our servers, you may not accept that expression of gratitude. In fact, you must tell the guest you're not allowed to say thank you. So we scrapped it. What we did do, and this is important, is we didn't want to erode the gains we had made, because kitchen employees are not eligible legally to receive tips. It's crazy, but they're not. And so what we now do is, in addition to reestablishing tipping in the dining rooms, we provide a percentage of our revenues each night to our kitchen workers so that on a busy night, they too can do very well.